Say that
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, what'd
I'm
you say?
saying, oh my gosh, you guys are the best. I love CodeBuddy. Oh.
Awesome. All right. Well, that kickstarts the webinar. Welcome to another week of our CodeBuddy webinar. This week I got CEO Devon Seacrest, who's going to be showcasing one of the apps that he's building, which actually has major use in our day-to-day workflow. So it's really cool. So Devon, I'll let you kind of kick off and explain what we're doing and which we're building.
Glad to be here. Like I said, we are just releasing this now, so we're actively usability testing. We're building out apps daily. We're breaking stuff. We're putting it back together. So we thought we'd just do kind of more of a raw session of kind of showing how I built kind of an app in just a couple hours and then kind of open up for feedback. We got Jon Rhoades, one of our great buddies on here, has an incredible company, Login.Health. Jon, anything you want to accomplish on this or any information you want to gather?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been dying to see Ride. I've been playing with all kinds of different AI development tools, and I'm super curious to see where what you guys have built.
Where
So
we're at? Sweet. Awesome. So unique strategy with CodeBuddy's Ride compared to other AI generation tools is we actually take developers through the entire development process. So I'm not going to go over all of it because I know we've got some of that in previous videos, but step one of us is literally you download Ride. We download all the development tools you need to like get going on your machine. We help you set up like major accounts that you need for such things as GitHub, authentication, database storage, cloud hosting, all of those things too as well. We allow you to, invite multiple users onto your workspaces too, so you can have multiple individuals working on a session. And then we make it really easy to create multiple projects, establish projects. Each project has its own hosting, database, authentication already attached to it. So within, a matter of hours, you can just be building kind of app from app. And they're not kind of, tinkering apps. We're building with, background cloud services, resources that are production quality, the architecture, everything is going to look identical to what we were doing at our old, you know, big boy jobs, getting paid six figures and deploying for mission critical software as well. So, I'll jump in here. This is actually a project I've already got set up, but creating a new project is very simple. You just simply type your project name, type a description, everything gets used by AI. Then you can create your database password and then deploy new cloud tools for that actual project too as well. So won't do that because I do already have one up here. And like I said, we've got multiple workspaces, so I can switch back and forth if I'm doing a personal project and then I've got a work project, or I'm working with different teams too as well. Or if you're freelance dev or dev shop, you can kind of balance back forth those. But this was a project that was kind of near and dear to our hearts because we help a lot of developers and companies that are developing software with their apps. And one of the things that we always struggle with too is just taking a software task and making sure that the requirements of the task are very clear and that when you test the app, you're testing all the different edge cases and stuff. And so I wanted to just create an app that took a basic task and used AI to really flush out all of the, requirements of that task. Uh, so that as a developer, it was clear what we were building. On the other side, as a product owner, like they could clearly see what was being built, and there was no what we call frame misalignment, where we think it's over here and they think it's over there, and when it comes together, we're completely off page. So this is the idea planning tool. I know Tanner went this on what did I do here? Tanner went over this last time, but this is basically a tool where all you can do is or not all you can do, what you do is you talk to it and it takes the concept, the ideal you're working on, the problem you're working on, and it breaks it down in the common terms of software that helps you build that out.
What
So
I
you can
really
see,
love too is it actually acts like a buddy that's sitting beside you. It's just they happen to know
yeah.
absolutely everything. So you can really, really like lean on it and have it do suggestions and all sorts of stuff.
And it's incredible. We've had people over and over again use this, and then it will recraft their idea, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so much better than I would have said it, or that I had in uh, in my head too as well." So, in the three things we really try to break it down to is like, what are definitions of the app? So, in my example, I had a task, which is a software development item that we were working on. I wanted to create acceptance criteria. So acceptance criteria is like, all right, what are the criteria that defines this is done? So if it meets that criteria, then that task is done. And then the edge cases. So in software, an edge case is like a little thing that if like you do slightly different, it's not the happy path that everyone's going to do. It's those little slight things that get done differently that end up breaking the software. An example is if you have a limit of, a password that, in John's example, password that is limited out at 20 characters and someone types a, 30 character password, which most people don't do that. That'd be an example of an edge case. Another thing we try to do too is really define the user types of the software. So in this case, the two user types that are going to be using this are a developer who's going to be developing these tasks, and then a product owner who's the person that represents the customer of that actual task. And user types are really important because in many softwares, you're going to have different experiences among the different user types. We just demoed one this morning that had what, three or four different user types. Each user type had a completely different experience, a different workflow, etc. And then the last thing is the workflows. So the first workflow was I want, task creation. So I want to enter a task. I want the AI to analyze that task. I want it to give me acceptance criteria. And then I want it to be able to give me edge cases and the feedbacks. And you can add multiple workflows onto this. So if I wanted to create another workflow, I could type that in here and say I want a second workflow to be able, I'll do it real quick. I want another workflow to be able to send an email to the product owner when the task is done.
And what's beautiful about this is it really helps you get that idea out of your head and into something that's tangible and written down. Because that's one of the things that we've really also found is difficult is that you have this app in your head that's like picture perfect, but it's but it's not tangible. And so by working with the AI, it really, really helps make suggestions, things that you wouldn't even thought of, and just really guides you in that whole experience of getting it on quote unquote paper, even though it's within the app.
Yep. And you can see it provides me a workflow. It could be great and I could just accept that, or I could, give it feedback and say, hey, it doesn't need to detect a trigger. I just need to click a button to email to the product owner or something. For this case, I'm just going to accept that there, and you can see it's going to add it there. If there were additional definitions or user types that were involved when this, it would add it to those as well. Um, so then, any questions on that? Tanner, anything I didn't cover?
I think you got it pretty well going through. We just need to kind of start the plan and go to the next level.
Cool. So the next step of CodeBuddy is the planning part, and this really gets into what we call the software architecture part of our job, which is taking something that is a workflow or just a task and actually breaking it down into the more technical parts of software too as well. One of the things we really do is we help guide the user to make sure that those parts are understandable and how to do that. And we actually are going to be like pre-filling a lot of this with AI so that users can see how the AI would break down that architecture and then can modify that too as well. But you have some familiar things like user stories. So, as a product owner, I want to have the AI create acceptance criteria so that the developer will understand what's in my head. Moving down to contracts, you can see I added a new contract for what a task looks like. You can do these manually. We'll have the AI be adding these here soon as well. An accessor is like, what's a third-party service I need to reach out to? So, and you can see all the existing accessors in the system. So John, you can see we also have like auth already built in, and you can see the different functions that the auth is already doing. Um, Eventually, we'll be able to plug into your guys' auth and have like some good healthcare stuff too as well. But it shows what's already in the system, and then it also allows you to really quick add new stuff to the system, and the AI will pick up on those added. So this one, I wanted to add an OpenAI accessor to take that task data and push it out to the system. So uh, this is some technical stuff that's available for developers. You can also skip a lot of this stuff and just kind of jump straight to the implementation too as well. But managers, kind of stores, and then kind of the views. So I wanted to create both a task list view that listed all my tasks, and then also a task details view that listed the details of the view. And I can put specific requirements in here. If you don't, the system will kind of guess a lot of those requirements, and then you can modify and change those.
Yeah, what I love about this stage is it's really the translation between someone who maybe isn't as technical and it puts it in a structure in ways that whether it's the AI getting the context text it needs, or if you're a human developer that's kind of helping along, like with our CodeBuddy service, it really helps translate to, again, what someone is envisioning versus what a developer actually needs to implement. And it's so unbelievably helpful.
Yep. And then all I have to do is click begin implementation, and it will take me on the next stage of the journey, which is our code editor. Um, and my favorite part of the code editor is I can drag and forth this back and
I
forth.
love that so much. I made that so big because I just want to read the text.
We used to never have that, and that's the only reason I have it because it would just make this all jumbled. But what it's going to do is it's going to go and take that task and it's going to start breaking down that task into the different components that we described. And if we didn't describe something, it will infer and actually add in those components for us too as well. And then we can ask it to like just like go all out and actually develop on those tasks, or we can have it. A lot of developers like to pick apart things one at a time so they can really supervise the building on it and say maybe, hey, build me the database connection first, and then build me the contracts, and then build me the back end API endpoints, and then the front end views or the components, React components to it as well. It really you can tell it based off of your preference whether you want to go one thing at a time or just have it go through the whole thing, and you can kind of just follow it along and respond to it individually. We have all of the code here too. You'll see there's a focus mode and a non-focus mode. One of the things that's really unique to us is we realized that over and over again, we were using the same files and folders for projects over and over again. So we said, hey, let's have a focus mode where we can just focus in on those files instead of having every single file in the application too here as well.
Yep.
And
And you
then,
can ask the AI to pull up stuff for you as well. If you're not
correct.
sure where it is, it can give you a lot of that context as well.
So I had it build. So yeah, so for example, here I had it already build some of these features, and we can add an additional feature on or modify it if we want. But you see, like here's my task list details view. There was nothing before, so it's an added file, and then you can see what the code looks like afterwards. And then for some of the other, things that exist, so like here's my program.cs file, which it only made one small change, and you can see, or two small changes, I guess. It added those additional accessor and manager dependencies that I really needed to as well. But yeah, if I wanted to open just the task list view, I could just say open, task list view, and the AI can go and help you. You can even describe a file you're looking for, and it can help you find those specific files too as well. Um, and here as well, and then start looking on them too as well. You can run both the front end and the back end of the solution here as well. I've actually got it running, so I can pull it up from my side. So you can see I'm running this locally. Um, there's four places you can run on CodeBuddy. You can run, or it first runs on your machine, so you can build and change, make changes fast and they hot reload. The next thing you can do is you can deploy it to a test environment. And then the third, so your team can test it out. And then the third thing is you can deploy it to a production environment too. So this was the quick app that I built. This is kind of just our generic front page, but I just told it to add a button. And then this is my task list view that added all those tasks that I wanted to add on here. And then when I want to add a new task, say, I want to, we'll get super meta, connect to an open AI API to, you know, create a prompt for customer service or something. Actually, I probably should put this down here. I can just give it a name. And then it'll go out and it'll actually fetch uh, that. It'll create that prompt, fetch that from here, and actually return my cases right there, both my acceptance criteria and my edge cases here. You'll see with it built in with the starter kit too for CodeBuddy, we have a lot of functionality that I didn't have to do when I first built this. It was already kind of pre-built in. Oh, I'm not an admin user. So, but you would see that if you clicked on that, if you were an admin user, I could make myself an admin user. You could see the user management settings uh, for this and be able to invite new users, uh, all sorts of different things already built in
Yeah.
with
Can we
that
dive a
starter
little bit
kit.
into the starter kit, what it is and why specifically we use this method versus some of the other AI tools and platforms?
Yeah, so the starter kit. So the a unique advantage of us, not only from front to back, but is that we already have a crafted like full tech stack built in. It's a .NET React stack. Uh, And what that allows us to do is it allows us to get started on a new project super quick because you don't have to worry about all of those project setup things that you need. They're already pre-baked in there. So the front end is baked in there with like pre-built like, theming, uh, user management is built in there, authentication, authorization is built in there. Store patterns are built in there. Architecture is built in there. Connection to the backend APIs are built in there. We actually make sure that your front end to back end like objects match up so that there aren't any mismatches there. Access to database layers uh, are already built in there too. You can actually, if you go to that earlier kind of project planning, you can see all the existing uh, methods and tools that are already built in there. And we use those to train our models too. So our model is very aware of what's already in that code and can help you just get to building your features just right away.
Mhm. Yeah, the other thing that we found is a lot of these tools, because they have so much options, the AI can go off the rails a lot of times. So we're trying to keep it on like limited that scope, keep it a little bit more on rails, so it's higher chance that it's going to be code that's trustworthy or that's not just garbage. So you get a much higher efficacy out of this AI tool. Not to say that you can just blindly trust it, but you don't have to spend so much time just kind of filtering through it line by line, not trusting it like you would with some other options.
Correct. Let's see, what else do we have for this?
You can show how to deploy it to a
Oh
test
yeah,
environment.
that's great. So yeah, so reviewing my changes. I like these changes. I tested them locally. I can quickly kind of go through. Here's you can see where here's kind of the meat of the code where in that task manager, I'm going out and I'm or no, let's go to the OpenAI accessor. Here's the OpenAI accessor. Here's the main thing where I'm going out. You can see like the prompt I'm using. You can see where it grabs like our app configuration settings to get the OpenAI API key. all of that, a lot of that configuration stuff is already pre-baked in our system. But yeah, when I'm ready to deploy it, I can say, I'm going to call this my base commit uh, for, task generator. And I can save all those changes here. And then what you can see now is when I go back to my project screen, you'll see that it looks a little differently. So I can go back to code, I can keep planning stuff, or you can see that I've already got a completed change. And you can do multiple changes before you actually push to your test environment so that you can kind of keep working before you push. You can see that right now, if I go to any of the environments, you can say they're ready, but nothing's actually been deployed to those environments. And then this is just running locally again. But if I'm ready to push, I can say, you know, first publish to test, task generator. And then I'm going to click that button, and then it's going to actually, it knows all of my, resources. It knows the naming of everything. It's got all the configuration settings to deploy, and it's going to actually go and that's going to actually push that out to my test environment. And you see, this does take a couple minutes. That's why we work locally, so you can make changes quickly. But once that gets pushed, then this link will work to actually go and test it out on your system there as well. So,
Yeah, the other thing that we're offering too that's unique is not only do we have the platform and the advanced AI tools, but for someone who maybe isn't a full-time full stack developer who can oversee everything, we're adding a kind of human element to it as well, where you get to have a code buddy to work by you at your side. And that's one of the things, like if we talk about like different pricing tiers and things like that, it's the tool itself is kind of the base. But then you can schedule like weekly cadences where you're going to meet up with an expert. As Devin said, like we do a white glove to get you up and running, but you can do constant check-ins where you're working with a human expert by the side. So if you aren't as knowledgeable or uncertain about certain things, you can still have that help to build something that's quality. Because that's one of the biggest things we see all the time is the vibe coding, which gets such a bad name because it does produce things that just fall apart. And we want to build a platform that enables as many people as possible to build production professional grade apps so they can turn their ideas and maybe build a business off of it or build their MVPs or really cool proof of concepts. And then it also being a really strong foundation that then they don't have to just throw it away like they would have with a low code or no code solution. They can actually then start building out their team with developers or freelancers and already be well out of the gate.
yep. Yeah, we're gonna do that this week, but we wanted to kind of show this, so we'll probably push off doing maybe a kind of pair programming next week too as well, where
Mhm.
we can show you kind of how we walk through with a developer on actually building out one of these tasks. So, and that's 30 minutes. We try to keep these within there. John, we're gonna put you on the spot. You got any questions? If not, we'll edit you out.
Which is probably for the best, right? Like,
Yeah.
just close your eye. No, I love the one thing that I love that you guys are doing is you spent a lot of time thinking about like the project management side of it. And so like I'm curious how far into like, I've generated the project management side of it, put it all together, then I hit generate. How much do I still get access to that? Can I still add remove screens in that way, or is that just kind of the
Yep.
beginning?
Yeah, that never goes away. You can always go back to the planning stuff, and the AI actually works with the existing. Uh, so you can see I'm ready to. So my I deployed on test. I'm ready to publish for live. But yeah, we can see behind this, all of this data still persists here. And the AI isn't just about building it too, it's about also modifying it too. So I've said I want a third user type for, the UI UX person. Uh, you can go in there and then it'll just kind of keep building that out over time. And it'll also track. So you can see I used to have just a developer product owner. Now I've got a UI UX person in my uh, in my user types. And then when you're completed actually developing these, we start tracking those as well too as well. So
Nice.
it's not just like a Kanban that just understands what you want to do in the future. It actually goes and looks at your code too and see what already has been implemented too as well. And so when you're going back for future stuff to it, well, it can see, all right, they already modified and did this. Uh, we don't need to build a new feature for this. Let's just go into that existing workflow and modify this because it's different or it's, changed.
Yeah, we found also with projects, when we work with, founders and help them build things, that once they actually get to see and using it, then they actually understand it a bit better. And so it's great to just go
Yep.
back and, okay, this is how we had it. How would you like to tweak it and just make it more and more personalized? It's really smooth.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think one of the things I'm finding with a lot of the other tools is you have to bring your own project management to it. And so like whether that's hooking up to Jira or whatever it is, but this is going to save me some of those bills and just
Yep.
keep it all in one spot.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, this has been the most surprising part too for people as well as and how well it works too. How well it understands because we as developers like to be very prescriptive, but what we've learned is that some of our users that are being more general, the AI is really able to go out there and look at, suggested things that you should do before
Mhm.
you even say, "Hey, I want it specifically to look at this." And it provides solutions that they're like, "Oh man, that's way better than what I even was thinking about doing in my head." So,
Yeah, I was using the tool last time and I was like, I hit submit. And I was like, oh crap, I should have mentioned this. And then sure enough, like in its list of
Yeah.
clarifying questions, it's like, do you want to take this into example? So it, in many ways, is smarter than me because it knows everything about those pieces. So like Devin said, it's almost just kind of enabling it, like getting out of its way and then just giving it ideas and using it for brainstorming and help fleshing things out. And with how quick it is to build these apps now, you can just try stuff. And that's the biggest thing. You don't have that whole sunk cost that you would of spending 6 months developing something or tens of thousands of dollars if you were hiring people to do it. And then you do usability testing and find people hate that or don't use it at all. Now you're just like, nope, just rip it out, change it. You don't have any of that worry of like, oh, I spent all this time and money on it.
Sweet. Yeah, sign me up, man. Let's go.
all right. Yeah. Well,
Take
we
my money.
appreciate you being on. And yes, excited to post this one for the broader crowd too as well. So